Hey, welcome to the TMZ podcast. I'm Branson Quirk, and I'm doing the solo today. Very busy day at the office. We have been looking into the investigation of Hayden Panettiere's death, as well as we have a new update for you on Perez Hilton, who landed himself in the hospital. Very disturbing situation. If you caught it a few weeks ago, he self-harmed himself on a TikTok live stream, went into a Baker hold where they hold you for 72 hours. It didn't stop then at 72 hours. He was then held for much longer. And then we're also going to talk about Hayden. Like I said, we have a few new updates concerning a little bit beforehand, possibly an intervention that her family wanted to conduct with her, and we'll get into the details about that. And we're also going to talk about Hayden's mother, who is seemingly blaming Brian Hickerson for her death. Quite literally says that in a new quote that we just posted. So let's start with Perez Hilton. Like I said, very disturbing situation. And by the way, we're live, so please leave your comments, leave your questions, leave your theories, anything you would like to discuss. I'm going to address the comments at the end of this video. But yeah, let's start off with Perez Hilton. So Perez Hilton has been in the hospital for some time. A very scary situation where he was cutting himself on a TikTok live. 911 was called. Cops showed up. Very disturbing again. He was on video saying that he hoped the cops would shoot him. Thank God that nothing violent happened. There was no altercation that led to him being, I don't even want to say it. It could have been a lot worse. But in the hospital, he has been communicating with his family, and they have given little updates along the way, but it's really important that we respect their privacy and everything. But now we're learning that Perez Hilton has been granted supervised visitation with his children. As we reported, his children were actually at his home when this all went down. Shortly before, it was revealed by a family member that they had taken the children out of the home shortly before what the public saw on TikTok Live. So they were there when things started to get a bit weird, when he started acting erratically. That's when they decided to leave. But he will be granted supervised visitation with them following this long hospital stay. He will be allowed to see his 3 children while his mother has temporary custody, which is typical in cases like this, especially when someone is not in sound mind, that giving temporary custody to somebody like a mother is the right thing to do. But the visits must be supervised. According to new court documents, Perez can visit his kids only when it is supervised, which could be someone from like the family, so a family member agreed upon by both sides, or a therapist. So somebody always has to be in the room. But before any visits can happen, Perez must first receive psychiatric clearance. The supervised visitation arrangement will remain in place until the court changes the order or Perez and his mother agree to a different arrangement. The judge in this also formally granted Perez's mother, Teresita, temporary legal custody of the children. Perez is the children's only legal parent, and he consented to his mother taking temporary custody. So he signed off to that. But yeah, no, we wish the best for him. It was really hard to see what he was going through. And as we had reported, a little bit kind of behind maybe what led to this. He was in the hospital for 21 days. He had sepsis. Unclear if there was any type of medication that he was on afterwards that may have led to this type of reaction, this type of mindset that he went into this episode. But totally wish the best for him. And honestly, I'm just so happy that he's okay, because based on what happened and the seriousness of it, him needing to have surgery on some of the wounds that he caused himself. It was really hard to watch, and I hope that nobody ever sees this video. And I also hope his family, the children, are not exposed to this as well. But again, wishing the best for Perez. So we'll keep you updated with that and everything. I know it's been a hard adjustment for him moving to Miami, but hopefully he can get home and maybe just take a break. I know his website, PerezHilton.com, which is known for gossip. If you don't know who Perez Hilton is, he is one of the kings of gossip news, essentially entertainment news. He was in the very, very beginning, and his website will continue on posting as usual until he is back to normal. They have been posting updates here and there and everything from the family, but again, it's very private matter, and I can imagine so. Well, let's move on to Hayden Panettiere. I mean, it's just really shocking and so sudden what happened this weekend. Hayden was pronounced dead on Sunday at 2:32 p.m. in South Carolina in her boyfriend's apartment. And what it's all looking like right now is a possible overdose. Narcan was found at the scene. Dispatch audio listed this as an OD. The terms of OD was said on this dispatch call. But now Hayden's boyfriend, Brian Hickerson, has broken his silence. We learned that he was there at the scene. His brother, Zach Hickerson, was also there. It was a very emotional scene for both of them while Hayden was being worked on. Still unclear exactly what happened. Toxicology reports will be back in about 8 to 10 weeks. This stuff takes some time, and they are pending. So we won't know exactly whether or not or what kind of overdose this was until then. But her boyfriend, essentially, this whole thing is being investigated now. I'm not going to say her boyfriend's being investigated, but this whole situation is being investigated because as of right now, there is no manner of death listed. There's no cause of death. The coroner in the autopsy did say that there was no signs of foul play, but it has taken a turn because the DEA has gotten involved now and for the DEA to get involved, there has to be enough for them to go, okay, looking at this whole painting here, something may have happened criminal. Criminal may be something like Brian Hickerson or anyone providing these drugs to Hayden that led to her death. So if Brian hypothetically gave drugs to Hayden and we saw this tragic outcome, he could be held liable for that. We do know that he did provide first responders with a bag of medication in the beginning of all of this. This is what she takes, essentially, is what he told them. But these were prescription meds. And we know she was complaining of back pain before. So Narcan, again, found at the scene, it's not just for things like meth or heroin or things like that. Narcan is an opioid reversal drug. So it can be used in a variety of senses. So it's important not to speculate and just wait for the facts to come out. But the boyfriend has broken his silence now, very briefly. But Brian's attorney, Sloan Ellis, told TMZ, quote, Hayden's death remains under investigation, and it is important to allow that investigation to proceed. As has been publicly reported, police confirmed there were no signs of foul play. Finishing it up, he said, out of respect for Hayden's loved ones and the ongoing investigation, there will be no further comment at this time. So very brief. We did see police show up to Brian's family home. So obviously they want to speak with him. They have probably a lot of questions for him as well. Hayden's mother, we should talk about this. She's been a tad vocal, but now she has kind of really taken a stance, doubling down on the death of her daughter. And you can only imagine what she's going through, the fact that she's even speaking about it. But she did talk about a, quote, toxic individual. So Hayden's mom says that someone toxic drove a wedge between them. And she appears to be pointing the finger at Hayden's boyfriend, Brian Hickerson, for her daughter's death. Leslie Vogel addressed her estrangement from Hayden in a statement shared with Entertainment Tonight, saying, quote, although my daughter and I were estranged, it was not for lack of care or love. She continues on saying, quote, it was due to the involvement of a toxic individual who I believe led to her death. So That's a serious statement to make. Leslie doesn't name Brian specifically, but there's a little mystery around who she seems to be talking about. We did interview Brian not long ago and asked him about Hayden and the fact that they weren't together at the time. And that interview has since gone viral, has had a lot of publicity, where Charlie Neff here at TMZ did that. We've spoken about it at length, and it's a little strange. Actually, it's not a little strange. It is a very strange interview. And we know that back when this interview was done, they were in a relationship at the time. It was bad for business, according to the team of Hayden, while promoting her memoir, that they publicly revealed that they are together, because she talked about that relationship in that book. And Brian, we know, has had substance abuse in his past. So when just looking at all this, you can imagine why the DEA is investigating this, because look at two people who have a history of this, Brian, Hayden, and you put them in a room together, and we don't know exactly what happened. So I actually really admire that the DEA is getting involved in this and that they want to get to the bottom of this. There also is one other update here. Hayden's team, we learned, had discussed an intervention before her death. The director of her team said, her director is Griff First, and he says that the actress was, quote, fighting to stay sober while filming one of her final movies, and that her team discussed staging an intervention. First directed Hayden in the 2025 film A Breed Apart. According to him, Hayden was struggling with sobriety during production. Members of her team contacted him about participating in an intervention. He continued and said that he agreed to take part, but to his knowledge, the intervention never actually happened. He recalled Hayden bringing boyfriend Brian Hickerson to the set. He was concerned about the people around her. He also said that Hayden, quote, deserved better company, and that there was a, quote, dark energy surrounding the situation. Despite those concerns, First said that he had a lot of love for Hayden. He described her as an incredible talent. And I mean, that's just something that is very similar to what everybody else has said, how much of a bright light that she was. She was in a variety of huge films. One of my favorites being, and this might be kind of left field for some people, but A Bug's Life, for example. That was a big, big role for her. She played Dot in that film, and that was a big part of my childhood. I remember The Titans being probably her most breakout role of her career as a child. And it's just sad to see that, at 36 years old, that this can happen. And that looking at the painting of all this, that it's pointing to a possible overdose, but it's a very sad situation. I'm going to go to the comments now and read some of the things you guys are saying. Let's see here. Danny, thank you. Thank you for admiring the haircut. It's a little high. I got a high fade, first fade I've ever gotten. So thank you very much. Elias said there is a condition called post-sepsis psychosis. That may be what happened. So we're talking now about Perez Hilton, in which we started this podcast with. Yes, I looked into that, so that's definitely a possibility. But as of right now, that has been kept hush-hush on what exactly had happened. Flash said hopefully he did not pass his illness to his children genetically. I mean, that's a very harsh comment to make. Mental illness can be brought on by a variety of things, and typically in your life, that could be due to circumstances and the way you live your life, or, a lot of things, physically too. Moving on to Hayden, Space Reactions 101 said she was every kid's childhood celebrity crush. Such a tragedy. Agree. And these are the comments we've been seeing, and just seeing how many fans she really had is why this is so hard. Flash Netstream said, poor girl was a fighter. No doubt, cannot believe she raised her daughter and then had her daughter essentially stolen from her when she was grown up. I mean, her daughter wasn't stolen from her. She did release custody to her ex-fiance, Vladimir Klitschko, who honestly hasn't spoken ill about Hayden in the public, which I admire. And typically these things can get very messy. And I'm not saying it didn't, but I am saying that the fact that Hayden made that decision to release custody in the best interest of her kid while dealing with addiction is very admirable and very hard too. A lot of rest in peace here and everything. But thank you everybody for joining me today. It's just so difficult as we see updates coming out, in that we know all of this kind of after the fact that someone had been dealing with this, because you just don't know. I mean, she has been promoting that memoir and said that she had a lot more life to live. That was the quote from the Jay Shetty podcast. I have a lot more life to live. And have that taken from her so soon is heartbreaking. But thank you for joining, and we will see you all back here